So we've got a little bit of a market here that does not want to roll over very easily. I had some questions on the comment section of my videos yesterday. People asking, Nick, with everything that's going on in the Middle East, why aren't stocks reacting more negatively to this? Somebody calling it like a manipulated market, and that's the only reason that stocks are still going up despite a human crisis going on in the Middle East. And it can be really confusing when that sort of thing is happening. And I recognize, like, especially as a new investor, that would completely confuse me. If I was looking at markets and I was like thinking about stocks, and I'd be like, oh, well, something's crazy going on in the Middle East or some part of the world, it would really confuse me as to why the market seemingly just ignored what was happening there. Now, not all markets are ignoring what's happening in the Middle East. A pretty obvious example of that would be, take a look at the price of gold, which shot up initially. We saw oil prices went up and still are going up, right? So we see strength in oil prices at this time due to the concerns that we're seeing in the Middle East. So it's not like markets are completely ignoring it. It's just that the market is not everything is equally taking the same kind of volatility level as oil, for example. So what I mean by this is that I put it in a perspective I think that kind of makes sense to me in my video yesterday, which is, do you think that a fight breaking out between two countries in the Middle East, do you think that impacts oil prices? Pretty obviously, yes. Most people know that a lot of the world's market share of oil supply comes out of the Middle East. So that's pretty obvious. But is Microsoft stock, the company of Microsoft over here in the States, is it going to have a sizable difference to how much money it makes due to the war? And I'm talking about, like, is that going to seriously derail? Is that going to cause that stock to go down 10%, 15%, 20%? Probably not, because Microsoft is not, they have customers globally. They are an internet-based business. Everything is. So the reason I bring that up is that you have to think through these things. Why is the stock market index not dropping like a rocket ship lower here on this news? Because this news, although it is a scary news headline, and it's we hope and pray for the best of possible peaceful outcomes in that part of the world, the market's just not sensitive to, in terms of impact to profit margins, what's happening in the Middle East. So don't take it personal. It's not that the market is not rallying on the idea like, hey, look, there's terrible things happening, let's go up. That's not what is happening. But people take it personal that, like, the stock market can go up even though bad things are happening in the world. So this can be extended, by the way, to a lot of things. Many people, for example, really didn't like Biden or really don't like Trump, and they take it personal or become personally offended when the market goes up or down under each of their, elected official that they like or dislike. The market is bigger than all of that. The market is the collective sentiment of markets, growth of companies, economic kind of output. It's really big, right? So the idea that you're saying, okay, this thing can't go higher because Trump's the president, or this thing's going up because, or this thing can't go higher because, Israel and Iran are going at it, that is not a fully fair thing to take into account. Same thing when we saw all the, hatred for the market going up under Biden, because people were like, how can this thing be going up? Biden's going to send us into a hyperinflation. The reason I share this so frequently on my channel is because this is a trap I see so many traders spring themselves into. They let their bias or their emotions completely dictate whether or not they'll allow themselves to take a trade that looks great on all accounts, except for they don't like the politics or the geopolitical or the what's happening in the world. And you have to leave that behind, right? Just something to think about. OT says he closed Kiwi yen. Nice. Yeah, New Zealand yen I last time I looked, it was doing really well. Yeah, so I'm still in this trade. I would like to see, I've been sitting in this trade for a while. I'm sitting in profits. I would ideally like to see this thing make a push up to like 89, at which point I'll close the trade. Now, I like New Zealand, the New Zealand dollar, for a number of reasons. Did we lose the score on New Zealand yen? Where are you, New Zealand yen? I'm looking for it. No, it's here. Bullish. Okay.
Market analysis, free trading courses, edge finder data, and special offers. What do these things all have in common? They're all available for you right now inside of our free Discord. You can click the link down in the description below to join the free Discord today and get access to all of this and more. Stay up to date with all the latest trading information and A1 content. And if you want to upgrade to our Gold VIP Discord that features every single trade that Trader Nick and our other professional analysts take, you can find the links for that in the description as well. So don't wait, go check out the free Discord today.
So when we look at the New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen, we have a score of +8. The commitment of traders data looks good. Retail positioning looks good. Seasonality for this currency pair looks good. Trend looks good to the upside. PMIs favor Japan. Both services and manufacturing, so we're losing some score there. But then pretty much everything else looks pretty good for New Zealand. CPI looks better for strength in the New Zealand dollar compared to the Japanese yen. PCE also. By the way, we do have PCE for Japan. It's household spending, I think, is what they call it there. Employment change favors New Zealand. Unemployment. So when I compare these two currencies, right? When we compare New Zealand versus Japan, that is what we're doing when we're currency traders, right? I'm saying, okay, I prefer the New Zealand dollar. I also like the price momentum here that we're seeing building on this chart, right? You had this downtrend persistently, and now that you've had the kind of change in direction, I think I'm just going to let this trade run a little bit. I like the fundamentals, I like the technicals, and I think we can break out here. We'll see. If we don't, and I can continue to hold this, you know, I've been collecting positive swaps on this thing for like a month and a half, which is great. You know, swaps should, and in the end, if you're a currency trader, right, the big game, if you're a fundamentalist and a currency trader, is interest rate differentials. That's the game, because the carry trade, right, when things are okay, if you see the market being okay, the carry trade is generally where I'm trying to trade in the direction of. I would say that the best depiction of what my FX side of things is focused on, after doing this for years, I've traded Forex for, oh my gosh, what, since 2017 or something? I'm a fundamentalist. I trade multiple different markets, but when it comes to currencies, the most clear game in town for me is the carry trade. Now, the carry trade is all about knowing when it's time to be in the carry trade versus when it's not time to be in the carry trade. And I use a dollar cost averaging approach. And essentially, I trade in the direction of that carry trade as long as the economic data suggests that that's okay. So if I go, for example, top setups eco, and I just say, only show me the economic data. This is why I built this table, really, for I mean, there's a lot of people who wanted something similar, but I want to show you something kind of cool about this. So we could do here, I don't know why, oh, there it is, major currency pairs. And let's add minor currency pairs. Let's just do some currencies for a second. So if I'm looking at currencies, right, what I want to do is I want to trade currencies that have strong economic backdrops versus their peers. Right, I want to look at the growth metrics of the economy. I want to look at the inflation metrics of the economy. I want to look at the labor statistics of the economy, right? And so when I look at euro dollar, which is comparing, of course, the euro versus the dollar, we have a slight lean, but then we get really strong. And this is why I continue to like and hold the Canadian dollar long against the Swiss franc. I've been in this trade for like 2 months. So understand that when I talk about trading currencies, I am the most boring Forex trader you've ever seen. I'm the most boring Forex trader. You should never, if you want excitement and interesting stuff, you should not watch my channel for exciting Forex trades. I am the most boring Forex trader. The only person that rivals me in boringness for Forex is Chris Pulver. We are both long-term, predominantly carry trade focused currency traders. And what I mean by boring is our position sizing is tiny, it is slow, it is accumulating, and then it is distributing. Long-term fundamental views, mostly in the focus of the carry trade. But we look at the economic, because you want to be in the carry trade, but you want to be in it when it's right to be in it. You don't want to be in the carry trade on the precipice of giant recessions, because that will end horribly. You want to try and be in the carry trade when things are looking good. So I have a long position on CAD Swiss, which is not a chart that looks very exciting. In fact, it looks incredibly boring. I've collected positive swaps on this currency pair since like early April. So I've been in this trade for like 70 days. I've been in this trade for a long time, just sitting in this trade. And if it pops, then great, I'll take some profits. If it goes lower, then also great. I can accumulate some bigger positioning in my long-term position on the CAD Swiss, right? Let me just real quick, we've got news coming out in just a few moments. This is actually a really important piece of information this morning. We have retail sales. If I'm correct. Yeah, yep, we have retail sales today. I knew we had something at 8:30. So we have retail sales today in 2 minutes. This is really important because the state of the consumer in all of this is really, really important. And so we're going to get retail sales here in just a moment. If I go economic growth, by the way, if you had a question for me, you chatted me in the chat, I apologize. I'm trying to keep it moving here to cover a lot of stuff. I will answer questions later on in the stream. If we could really quick, if we could drop the link to ask a question. If you have a burning question for the live stream and you'd like to have it answered later on in the stream, we'll drop a link here in the chat to where you can fill out this quick form to ask a question, and we'll take care of you there. I'll take a look at those shortly. Okay, guys, so we have about 1 minute to go. The last two retail sales month-over-month numbers were better than expected. And also, I have to do this because it's going to bother me if I don't. Instead of MOM capitalized, let's do month-over-month. That will look better. Yeah. Okay. 1 minute to go. We've got retail sales numbers. I'm going to just switch over now to our all markets view so that we can just keep an eye on everything. So far here today, Bitcoin's lower. We've got dollar flat, oil flat, gold slightly down, NASDAQ flat to down, S&P same, kind of slightly down on the indices here this morning. So we'll get all that moving here likely in the next 40 seconds or so. Like I said, if you have a question for the stream, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to keep it moving here, and I'll answer questions at the end of the stream. So if you would like to ask a question, please feel free to ask it here. I mean, no disrespect. It's just easier said than done to like stream and do chat and also do charts all at the same time. So I'm going to come back to questions later on in the stream. Okay, guys, we got breaking news here in just a second. Our retail sales numbers dropping. Stay tuned. All right. Retail sales coming out here in just a second. Let's see. Initial reaction here on the dollar is a little bit soft. Indices mostly unmoved. Bitcoin unmoved. Gold unmoved. All right, core retail sales was a little bit soft here. Retail sales softer than expected. So that would be net slightly bearish for the US dollar. And in terms of indices, not particularly positive either. So we did have a miss in retail sales here this morning. How does this impact into the story? Well, the retail sales numbers are important, right? We don't want to discredit them because this is the state of the consumer. So we're expecting on a month-over-month basis, the forecast was for a contraction of 0.5%. We got a contraction of almost 1% at 0.9%. So we got contraction in retail sales numbers. And what we can see here is a slightly negative reaction to the dollar, but really not a big move. So not too much of a move. Sometimes you get a big move out of these sorts of figures. Other times you do not. However, let's just talk about the fundamentals about this. I would say that this is net negative for indices, right? Because stocks, of course, you want to see the consumer showing up and spending a lot of money. And so anytime you get contraction retail sales, especially more so contraction than expected, that could hit certain stocks, certain indices harder than others. So if we take a look at the dollar index here for just a quick second, you can see dollar index definitely did not need any more negative news here, but it certainly is still getting it, right? Dollar index to me, path of least resistance still seems negative. And this is actually going to tilt us back into a majority of our indicators on the Edge Finder suggesting bearish for the US dollar. Retail sales coming in soft here this morning. Silver, take a look at silver. Crossed to a new high here, 37. New high for multiple years. Silver is pushing higher here, still going. Copper's up a little bit, natural gas. Oil is also pushing here recently. Really big breakout on the price of oil. Bitcoin pulling back a little bit. Yields coming down a little bit here this morning. Euro dollar back towards those highs. Pound dollar, same thing. Dollar yen, pretty flat. Dollar Swiss, sitting at support. Dollar CAD, straight up bearish. The Australian dollar trending higher here as well. This is like the choppiest, grindiest uptrend you've ever seen. The New Zealand dollar, same thing. Euro yen, big breakout on euro yen. CAD yen also breaking through resistance. This is a pretty big deal too. This was a consolidation for like 2.5 months, actually longer, mid-February. So we did get a big breakout on CAD yen. I believe this is also, it was a top setups page on the last time I checked. Is it still there? It is. CAD yen top setup here, plus 12 score on the Edge Finder. Breakout looks pretty solid. I'm already long the CAD Swiss, so I probably won't add more CAD positions at this time, but this looks pretty interesting. Really strong move for the CAD yen. A lot of the yen pairs actually. New Zealand yen, Swiss yen, Euro yen, pound yen, all getting pretty positive scores within the Edge Finder, the most neutral being the Australian yen and the dollar yen. Really interesting. Yeah, those yen pairs are looking pretty solid. Like I said, I'm long the Kiwi yen, and we're now breaking out of some key levels, sitting at resistance here. I'd like to see a break above this today if you can get kind of a follow through higher. I'm looking to target at least a move up to 89, at which point I'll probably take some profits on that move. Nick said his trading is boring, but uses 2 standards. How is that boring? Do you mean 2 strategies? If you mean 2 strategies, I do use 2 strategy. I use a momentum trading strategy, like what I'm doing with the Russell, where I have a long and I'm trailing stops. And then on Forex, I have the most boring dollar cost averaging strategy you've ever heard of. I essentially accumulate over time, and it can take months for trades to work out, or it can take, a couple days. But it's really boring because a lot of times currencies chop around on the higher time frames. They just go back and forth and back and forth. And the carry trade, collecting positive swaps and riding trends that are in the direction of positive swaps, is a strategy that it's one of the most popular games on the hedge fund level. They love the carry trade, right? Banks and institutions, they love the carry trade, but it's not glamorous. It's really boring. Like, you're talking about like making really small percentage gains and just collecting positive interest between the interest rate differentials. Like, that's a really boring game to play, but it's a game that works over the long term if you know what you're doing with it. You can get yourself into a lot of trouble, just like every other strategy with the carry trade. But typically, carry trade is a really boring way to collect positive swaps over time, or collect the interest between the two economies. Essentially, like if I'm talking about the Japanese yen, I'm shorting the Japanese yen or borrowing Japanese yen, and I'm taking that borrowed currency and I'm buying the New Zealand dollar, which pays. Imagine if you borrowed money from Japan and you lent it to New Zealand. New Zealand offers a higher interest rate than Japan. And so what you pay in interest to Japan, you just pay with it, with the net profits that you're making from lending money to New Zealand. That's essentially what you're doing with the carry trade. Now, it sounds exciting, but it's actually the most boring thing you've ever heard, because you're talking about just like if you were to put it into a savings account and collect like a couple percent per year. That's not very exciting. Well, that's essentially what the carry trade is. It's like the most boring thing ever, but it's a strategy that is really popular for hedge funds and institutions when it comes to Forex. It's probably the most popular strategy. That's popular because it can work amazingly. Again, it's not going to make you a trillionaire really quickly, but it's a way to consistently, over the long term, make more than you lose in Forex. So that's my general approach to currencies. Is mostly rooted around the currency, the interest rate differentials between economies, and then studying, of course, the economic data to put myself in the right direction of these things. Trader Nick should start reacting to trades and Wall Street bets. You know, I've done reaction videos in the past, and I enjoy doing them, but I've got so many like things to be doing. You know, we're building software, and I'm trying to, you know, trade my own money. Like, I've got so many things to do. I dropped that off the list, like all the reaction stuff. I'm not saying I won't do them again in the future if I have the time. Right now, my time is I'm so busy with stuff that I'm like, okay, what are my priorities? Reacting on TikTok to people, or, you know, continuing to build out the Edge Finder, and you know, my focus has really been on growing this YouTube channel on the subject that I really want to talk about, which is genuine, down-to-earth trading approaches, and, you know, trading my own money, and building out our tools that myself and, you know, thousands of other people around the world are using. So that's my focus right now. Time is of the essence. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna focus my time and energy on the things that are going to do the most, you know, for myself, for my family, and for our customers, truthfully. But yeah, no, I mean, I enjoy doing them. They're fun. The TikTok reaction videos, and I probably will do more of them in the future, but they're just kind of like a low priority task in terms of a need. They're fun, but yeah. Let's see, what else do we have on the list here currently in terms of setups? Let's remove neutral. Let's see. Okay. So look at this. Chinese stocks also showing up on the list. Let me see what's going on with Chinese stocks. They rallied so much, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to steer clear for now. Yeah, here's the HK50, the Hong Kong. So we've got Chinese stocks making a move higher. FXI is an ETF I track. Yeah, I like Chinese stocks, but not at these levels. Here's the DAX. I still have a DAX trade on. I'm sitting about break even on this position. I bought this pullback here. I do think that we have upside on the DAX. It is a bullish setup within the Edge Finder. So I'm currently long New Zealand, Japanese yen. I'm long CAD Swiss. I'm long the Russell, and I'm long the DAX. Those are current trades for me right now. I'm trying to think if there's any other ones on this list. Dollar CAD, I'd be interested in bearish setups if we got a bounce, but currently looking pretty, looking a bit stretched to the downside for me on dollar CAD. Not to say it can't go lower, but I'm just not interested in shorting at that time. I have a lot of love for this game in terms of trading. Like, this has been, I've dedicated the last 10 years of my life to this, right? Now, of course, this is not the only thing I live for, right? But it's my career path, something I'm very passionate about, but I'm equally passionate about like trying to put out content that makes a difference for people who are in this space. The first thing I think I can do, I've thought about this a lot, like on my channel, what's the greatest good I could offer to the trading community? If I could stop some people out there from having a horrible financial disaster due to trading, I'd feel really like I made a difference, right? So when it comes to the trading space, people who don't like, they have selective hearing, right? We've talked about that just a second ago. And so it's really dangerous in the trading space to just jump in both feet and, you know, load up your account with all your money. And people do that. And it's really dangerous. Like I've heard some horror stories, and I'm sure you guys have too. But a lot of new people have not heard that. And so they're like, oh yeah, no, I can figure this out. And the market it can't be that hard. I know, which companies are good, or I know which currencies are better than others. People have this false idea of how easy trading is, and then they get themselves into a really bad problem, and they completely go down the rabbit hole of revenge trading, and it happens every single day. And so my goal is on this channel is from like, what can I do to try and help someone, is genuinely sharing the warnings that I've learned in my own trading career. And I think that, I'm not just doing it for charity, right? We sell a product here. The Edge Finder is a product available for sale. It's a remarkable tool that we've worked tremendously hard to build, and I think it's worth every penny. I'm not selling you a dream here. This is not a magic box or anything like that. But again, that's part of the goal on my channel, is to be as real about this stuff as I can, to maybe, build that authenticity with what I'm doing. Dollar index flat here, Japanese yen flat here. VIX is up a little bit here this morning, up 6%. DAX down 0.3, Russell down 1%. Dow Jones down 0.6. Gold pretty flat. Pretty uneventful day so far. Retail sales was a little bit soft too. We see yields a little bit lower here today. The big event, I guess, tomorrow is the FOMC event that we have. So tomorrow we have the press conference with Jerome Powell, which should be pretty market moving. And during that, I am planning on actually doing, or we've got scheduled a trading battle. And I'm not sure if you guys have heard or seen a trading battle before, but tomorrow I'm going to be hosting a trading battle, which is really exciting. I'm hosting a trading battle tomorrow between Chris Pulver, you guys know him and love him, and Blake Morrow, who is another friend in the trading space. He's another content creator and very reputable trader. So we're going to be doing a 1v1 trading battle on the YouTube channel, The Trading Battle. So I have some more details for you tomorrow if you tune into the live stream. On my channel, we'll be streaming beforehand, and then we're going to drop the stream off into the trading battle. It's going to be really fun. Yeah, this is the hard part about like telling family and friends about trading, is that you really don't want to see them struggle. And you really also know that the percentages are really unlikely, that the person that you get into trading with you is unlikely to make it, which is a weird thing. So if a family friend or a family member asks me, hey, can you show me trading? I think your response is great. Like, you got to just tell them, like, it's hard. It's really hard. Like, you don't, like, if somebody asked me, hey, can you show me how to trade? I would say genuinely what I say to my audience. I'd say, you'd be kind of crazy to try, but if you're really into it, I'll show you some stuff. Right? It's really, really hard, and you'll probably lose money. Like, that's the truth. It took me like 5 years to really get to the point where I felt really good about my trading. It took me 2.5 to 3 years just to get to like a break even. And then on that third year, I started getting to the point of like, okay, I'm making money. I'm making not huge money, but I've scaled that up over time. So it takes time. It's hard. Malad says, when somebody asks me, can you show me trading? I just say, nope, I'm good. You know, you don't want the smoke. You don't want the stress of trying to share it with somebody, because it's, I don't know why, but well, I mean, yeah, I don't really understand why to people who are not traders, trading is just this thing that it's like, it almost gets disrespected for good reason. Most people who know something about people who have day traded probably have stories of, oh yeah, so-and-so I know who day traded lost all their money. That's the perception of day trading to people who are not, the diehard traders. The diehard traders out there have really put in the work to get to that point. Really, really put in the work. Like, it is your main thing. Like, I personally don't know anybody who's a profitable trader that it's not their entire thing. Like, some people are accountants, some people are in marketing, other people are, video editors. Everybody has their skill, right? Traders are traders. Like that is their thing. And somehow to common people who don't trade or not as insane as us, right? The normal people that don't trade and stare at charts all day long and look at the economy for hours on end, normal people, they say, how hard can it be? So it can be a little triggering as a trader because you're like, oh, it's pretty hard. Like it's a thing that I earned, right? And we're in a safe space together here because I see you guys, and I imagine you see me too on that. But most people are not going to see us. So if you're thinking about like, hey, I'm at a family gathering and someone's like, hey, show me that trading thing. How hard can it be? To them, it's like an online casino, and you're just like, they don't take you seriously. But I see you. If you've become a profitable trader and you've made it to the profitable standpoint, you should be very proud of yourself. It's a very hard thing to do. If you're not there yet and you're crazy enough to keep trying, we also see you. If you're on your way, if you're working towards it. I mean, there's some smart people in my audience. I can tell you there's some smart people in my audience because there's people who correct me on stuff. And they do it in a loving way. But like the other day, someone pointed out, hey, Edgefinder's score on the DAX. Remember that? Some of you guys might remember. They were like, the Edgefinder score on the DAX is off. PMIs were positive for Europe. DAX should be getting a positive score in that section. And I was like, dang. There's some, Ball Out, Lee James. You guys are smart people. Cheryl's, there's lots of people in the chat that are, I can tell, you guys know your stuff. You know a lot of things, and that's great. I love having that kind of community aspect.
Did you know we do a live trading show Monday through Friday with guests from all over the world? To get notified when we go live, click the bell button next to the subscribe button or check in at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We have helpful, free content in the description below and on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching today's video, and we'll see you tomorrow.